So, good morning. I'm going to start this again because I just went live a minute ago and realized that I was trying to check my volume and realized that my mic wasn't even on. Let me just see if I can check to make sure. This is my first time. Okay, so this is my first time going live with Restream. So I'm not quite sure that everything is on. I'm on my YouTube page at the moment and I can't see anything coming up. So I'm just gonna go for it anyway. We're gonna go for it. So I'm live on YouTube and I should be live on LinkedIn as well. And today we're speaking about how do you know it's time for change? Because there's times when we might just feel something's off and we're not quite sure what it is. We can't quite put our finger on it. And it could be in anything in different parts of our lives. It could be when it comes to our jobs, it can be when it comes to relationships, or just an aspect of how we're living. Something doesn't feel right. And why am I speaking about this? For those of you who are seeing me for the first time, my name's Rachel Charles, and I speak about change and getting into a space where you're feeling fulfilled and living a life that you design rather than the one prescribed. I'm a life coach, I'm a speaker, I'm a consultant, and I work with overwhelmed professionals, not just in their jobs, but looking at it in a holistic way and helping them to put plans and strategies in place so that they can start designing a life that is not prescribed and one that is totally created by themselves. Because many of us find ourselves in spaces where we don't even know how we got here. We've followed the script, we've done everything correctly, but we're still feeling as if something is missing. So that's what we're speaking about today. How do we know it's time for change? I'm going to do a quick check on LinkedIn. YouTube isn't showing me, but I'm going to do a quick check on LinkedIn to see if I can see that I'm actually live. If not, I'm going to keep going. If I can't see it, I'm going to keep going anyway. Oh, yes, I can see myself. There we are. We're on LinkedIn. So at least it's working in one place. So that's fine. Actually, I should look to see if my volume's coming through. Let me just check that. It is. Okay, let's go. How do you know it's time for change? So maybe it's your job, as I said, maybe it's your relationship, maybe it's just an aspect of your life that just doesn't feel right. And you tell yourself that everything's working the way it should be, especially when it's your job. The bills are being paid. You have that comfort and security. You can go on a holiday or a couple of holidays a year. You're stable, you're comfortable, everything seems to be going right, but something feels a little bit flat. Something feels as if it's missing. You're asking yourself, is this all there is? And you can even start feeling guilty for expecting more. You're telling yourself that you should be grateful. For many of you, you may be writing gratitude lists on a daily basis, and you're thinking, okay, right, I have a roof over my head, I have the bills are paid, everything's comfortable, everything is going fine. And you're telling yourself that you need to be grateful. However, it's easy to fall into the gratitude trap of being of telling yourself that you have to be grateful in spaces where you're not being fulfilled. So the thing is about change is that when your body starts telling you that it wants change, it doesn't come with clarity. It just comes with that quiet whisper, that niggling in the back of your mind that says, I can't keep living like this. Is this it? Something doesn't feel right. And we're going to talk about what that awareness looks like, what that feels like, and how you know that you have outgrown your current path. Because that's the other thing. You can, like I said, you can feel guilty, but you're allowed to change and you're allowed to move forward. So if you're feeling stuck, if you're not quite sure, if everything on paper looks great, if you the funny thing is that you could even be used as an example for other people. That's what makes it even worse. You could be inspiration, you could be career goals, you could be relationship goals to other people, but you know that things aren't right. And if you are there, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling uncertain, if you feel as if you're ready for something new, but you're not quite sure what it is, then this video is for you. And I say that, and it made me think of a story that I was reading yesterday of a man who wrote into one of these columns, and he was talking about his wife. And I don't know why this has just popped into my head, but it's true. But it fits. His wife at 60 odd years old, they're both in their 60s. He's looking for a laid back kind of life, and she has upped, gone on a plane to left, I guess, the UK, and gone to America, and she's started a new job. She's living with their son, and she's telling him, come out here, life is great. And he's like, no, I just want to be laid back, and if she's not going to be here, I might have to find somebody else. You are allowed to change. The difficulty is, though, is that when some of the things that hold us back is when other people are looking at us and aren't used to seeing us in a very different way, or are so used to us plodding along in that methodical way and used to what's coming next, that we hold ourselves back and don't feel comfortable enough to make changes because we don't know how other people are going to view it. But let's look at some of the signs that will tell us that it is time for change. Don't know if you can hear. So actually, I know it's after 11 in the UK. Out here, it is after 7 in the morning. So there's the rumblings of people getting ready and going to work, and the buses picking people up and things like that. There's always a little bit of a humdrum in the Caribbean of things going on, as with anywhere. But so yeah, if you hear beeps and all that kind of stuff, it's people getting ready and going to work. So the first sign that you are ready for change is when you've outgrown your current path. And it doesn't come like a great big announcement. It doesn't come like a great big announcement. It's quiet and it's a discomfort. It's a disconnection. You start feeling drained from the things that used to excite you or make you feel happy about. Have you ever been, or you might be right now, in a job and you're wondering, why do I come in every day? And this was the job years ago where, okay, let's not go overboard and say that you skipped through the door, but you felt some excitement. You felt that you might be doing something worthwhile. But now it feels just humdrum. It feels mundane. You are sitting there, and all that's there to do is deadlines and targets, and you can't even be bothered for the recognition that could come with it. All you're feeling is empty. And you've gotten to the point as well where you're good at what you do. Many of the people who contact me are people who are seasoned professionals. You are great at what you do. If the manager walked out the door tomorrow, they would usually leave you in charge. You know everything there is. You know it better than the back of your hand. And but you're feeling unfulfilled. You're feeling that something else is missing. And that means that you have outgrown your current path. You can stay in spaces where and stay in those spaces too long, where yes, you know everything about it and there is just no room for growth anymore. And the other signs that you can find when it comes to outgrowing your path is, you're you're here and you know what it is that you're doing, and you've got ideas of something else that you want to do, but you're not able to grow within the capacity of where you are. I've spoke about it before, where you can get training, you can get development, you can get development. Oh gosh, where's the word gone? You can get development opportunities. That's the word, from your job, from your corporate space. However, if it doesn't match with what the organization deems as important, you're not going to get those opportunities. You'd have to do it on your own. And sometimes there are times where you'd have to justify and even speak to your employee about what you're doing, just to make sure that it doesn't, um, to put them at ease that yes, you're going to do this course of study, or you're going to be doing this thing, and it's not going to impact on your job. There are times where you can be in this space, but you want to be doing something else and you're not being stretched, you're not feeling fulfilled. You can even, and this was one of the things that started happening for me when I was in corporate, was questioning the work that you're doing in line with your values. Going into a space where I was working, it was about helping people and it was about change. It was helping people move from where they from certain activities and actions in their lives and putting pieces together so that they can live a more law-abiding life and helping people to make better decisions. And when I started seeing certain things happening, resources dropping, there were um, work resources dropping, workloads increasing, and some of the things that were taken away that would be basic things to help people move along, and we weren't able to use to make use of those resources anymore. It started making me question, what are we actually doing here? Are we actually helping people? Does this align with what I know and what were taught would help people? And we're not actually able to do it. Are we setting people up to fail? So that can happen where you start feeling uncomfortable. And that's one of the ways that you know that you've outgrown your current path, is where it no longer aligns with your values. And another way is that you just start fantasizing about something different. I say fantasizing, but there were times when it would be so difficult sometimes at work where I'd say, do you know what? Just oops, I need this is going to be interesting. I need to plug in my charger, but I'm gonna have to take my microphone off. Okay, so I'm gonna have to make sure that my laptop is charged properly next time. Hold on. All right, so my volume is gonna change. So I'm sacrificing audio. I'm sacrificing audio for obviously for the stream. Let me just make sure that I can hear myself. Right, so there's a lag, so I'm gonna have to wait. So hopefully you can still hear me. You start fantasizing something different. And I remember there were times where, in my last job, I just said, oh gosh, I just want an easy job where I can sit down and just be doing something different. But then my fantasizing started taking a different turn. I said that I wanted to just sit by the beach and be able to work with people anywhere in the world. And you can't see it, but the beach is right there. I know I'm not on the beach. But when you start feeling that there is something else that you want to do, you know that you've outgrown where you are. And it can, as I said before, make you feel as if, you're ungrateful. Let me just check my volume. Yes, volume is there. And it sounds okay, I think. Doesn't sound much different, well, to me. But sometimes it can make you feel that, I should be grateful for where I am, but there is nothing wrong in wanting something different. There is nothing wrong in growth, because all it is, when you're feeling that, I really want to be doing something different, it means that you've outgrown where you are and you're ready to be stretched. You're ready to expand. You're ready to grow. And outgrowing something is not a failure. I use that example of the guy whose wife had moved to a different country in their 60s. It is not wrong to feel that something is no longer for you. We have been conditioned to believe that, let me not go into relationships because that's a whole other story, but when it comes to work, we've been conditioned with, you go to school, you go to university, you get this good job, you work, you work, you work, you work, you work, you climb the ladder, which is something that you want to do. You want to get the promotions, you want to get the recognition and all that kind of stuff, and then you retire. That's not for everyone. You can go to university, and how many people are in jobs right now where they're not using their university degree? Not knocking anything, but when I first started working, I wasn't using my degree. I did a degree, my first degree was in psychology, wasn't using it when I went in there. It wasn't until afterwards that I got into the job that I stayed in for the longest, for nearly 2 decades. It was when I started using it a bit more. And there is nothing wrong in the people who want to stay in that space. But if you want to be there, where you get the good, you go to school, you go to college, you go to university, you get the good job, you and good is in air quotes, you get the good job and you stay there until retirement. At least let it be something that you're feeling fulfilled in. So when I'm here and I speak about getting unstuck, I'm not just talking about, get out of corporate and run out of corporate and do your thing. You have to be in a space, whether or not for some people don't want to start a business, some people don't want to go down the entrepreneurial road, and that's absolutely fine. But if you are going to stay in a space where you're going to stay in the good job, you're going to take all of your, take everything that it gives you. You're going to go for the promotions. You're going to expand your knowledge and your experience in that space. At least let it be in a space where you are feeling fulfilled, because being stuck doesn't mean that, okay, now I need to break the barriers and just jump into a whole new field and I need to, start a business and be an entrepreneur. If that's not for you, don't do it. But do not walk into the same space every day feeling unfulfilled. Do not walk into the same space every day where you may be experiencing, micromanagement and bullying and not able to, think outside the box, but there's another box and don't go outside of that one. If you are in those spaces and you are feeling like you want something more, it doesn't mean that there's something in you that's wrong. It means that you have outgrown that space. There is nothing wrong with wanting more. All it means is that is that there is a you in there that is calling you to become it. And if that if you can resonate with that, put a put a cloud emoji in the chat. Let me see if that pops up. The other thing to think about is that difference between resistance and readiness. Sometimes you start feeling that you have outgrown something. You're thinking, you know what, I'd really like to go into another field, or I want to expand, I want to go up the ladder, or I'd like to jump off the ladder totally and do my own thing. What's going to happen? Fear is going to step in, and that fear can sound a lot like resistance. And what I hear a lot of is, it's not the right time, I'm going to wait until this sorts itself out. That fear will also sound like that gratitude. I need to be grateful for where I am right now. I need to think about what I'm earning and what I'm receiving from where I am, so I should be grateful. And it also looks like, what if I fail? But there's a difference between resistance and readiness. Resistance is when you're worried about losing something, and you're going to be resistant to making changes because you're thinking, this might fall apart. I know somebody who it didn't work for. I may not have the skills. And you're resistant because you don't want to lose anything. You don't want to come out in, you don't want to come out worse off than where you are. But readiness is when you are looking at the potential of the situation that you could be going into. And we need to really get clear on the difference of those two. Because if you are working in resistance and you feel like, I really want to change, but you start thinking about all of the things that could go wrong, you just stay in a loop of all of the old stories that you've been telling yourself, and that's where stuck comes in. And this is where you can stay in the same old relationship that might be draining the living life out of you, staying in the same old job that might be draining the living life out of you. But you stay there because you are resistant, because you are scared of what life is going to look like on the other side. Readiness is when you look at those things and you think, is this working for me? What am I gaining from this? And instead of looking at what you stand to lose, you look at the potential of what could come next. So looking at, do I start a new business? You're not looking at, how many businesses are set to fail. That is a statistic that has been used really badly. And when you find out how badly, it's shocking. But you're not looking at, okay, new businesses can fail. You're looking at, what if it works? You're not looking at, I'm going to be alone, nobody's going to want me, and I'm over 40. And you're looking at, I've got all of this love in here. What if it works? And if it doesn't work, I move on. Resistance is where you tell yourself the old stories and keep yourself in a loop. And what that does is that it keeps you stuck. It keeps you in a space where there is tension associated with change. It keeps you in a space where you're uncertain, and all that does is build anxiety. So, how do you tell the difference between resistance and readiness? Because you're going to get butterflies both ways. Because even when you're ready and you want to move, there's clients that tell me, oh, I'm feeling scared. And I'm like, listen, if you're not feeling scared, then there's something wrong, and I'm going to be feeling scared for you. You have to have those butterflies when you're ready for change. But how do you tell the difference between being resistant and being in a state of readiness? Think about how you feel going into both of those. When you are resistant, or if there is resistance, imagine pushing a door and it just feels like it's not going to budge. It's heavy, it's weighted, it feels like a struggle. That's resistance. That's when your body's telling you all of the things, all of the reasons why, I'm giving you all of the reasons why it shouldn't happen. When you are moving into a state of readiness, if you're not feeling that resistance of pushing back, and it doesn't feel heavy and it doesn't feel weighted, you can feel the fear, but you can also feel the possibilities on the other side. You start telling yourself that this could actually be the change I've been looking for. This could change everything about it. And rather than, you feel those butterflies, and rather than those butterflies feeling like crocodiles in your stomach, it's actually feeling that excitement of what if. And you can feel that you can feel that fear, you can feel that curiosity, and it's not a red flag. It doesn't mean that you don't have to move forward. It's your inner compass telling you, yeah, it feels scared. Who is it? Is it Susan Jeffers that talks about feel the fear and do it anyway? Yes, we feel a little bit anxious, we feel a little bit scared, but you know what? Let's go for it. We're ready. Let's move. The third way that, I've got my notes here as well. Let me just make sure that I'm not losing, because I can go off on a whole different tangent. But the third point is of looking at how do you know that you're ready for change is getting clear. And clarity is one of the things that we need. And many of the times we're not quite sure what we need to do, because we're just on that treadmill of life. We're going and going and going. We're doing the same things every day. Our entire diary is packed. Our life is totally packed. But we're not taking space to step back and look at, what is it I really want? And one of the things that we could ask ourselves is, what if I made the choice and I wasn't afraid? What would I do if I wasn't afraid? Don't ask yourself what's logical. Don't ask yourself what's safe. Don't ask yourself what other people expect of you, but you want to ask yourself, you are what if it works and you're not afraid? What if I was not afraid? Every time I've ever asked a client that question, what if you weren't afraid? What would you do if you didn't have that feeling that, you don't have the time, you don't have the money, you don't have the support? What if? Every time I've asked a client that, the truth just comes up immediately. And do that without, don't think about all of the things that can come out of left field with, oh my God, it's not going to work. Just ask yourself and come up with the thing that would come into mind, with whatever comes to mind first. It's the truth that will come up immediately, because deep down you already know that you want to change. You would not be having those butterflies, you would not be having that resistance, that feeling of I'm ready for a change, if deep down you actually wanted it. And sadly, our bodies are ready for change before our mind is ready. And this is and I say sadly because many times when people are in spaces, whether it's jobs, whether it's relationships, and they need change and they're resistant to it, this is where they start getting physical problems, because whatever is happening, every system in our body is connected, and if you are under a lot of stress mentally, it's going to start manifesting itself physically. And that resistance that you feel when it comes to, your, that's what I'm saying, your body is ready before your mind is ready. And yeah, this is where I said sadly, when you're in a space and you are resisting that change, you know that it's time to move forward and you're making all of the excuses as to why you're not ready to change. This is when you start getting backaches and you're not quite sure why your back is hurting you all the time. You start having these headaches and you're not quite sure why it's hurting. You will start having these physical ailments because your body, when you get that gnawing away in the pit of your stomach, or you just get that feeling that, you know what, this isn't right for me anymore, I don't need to be in this space anymore, our bodies tell us that. But then our brain comes in with the logical side, and our brain is just like, no, you haven't got the support to move, you don't have the money to move, you don't have, people aren't going to understand you move, the kids are too young, you're getting older. Our brain comes up with all of the reasons why, but our body has known for a while that we're ready to change. And this is where clarity comes in, where we need to take that step away and have that, have your body, have your body and your mind have a bit of a chat. Like, is this working for me? What am I doing to myself by staying stuck in a space that no longer serves me? Where I'm no longer feeling fulfilled, where I'm not able to use my voice, where I'm not able to use my skills in a way that I feel I want to. I'm feeling restricted, I'm feeling constricted. And this is where I speak about the freedom mindset, where freedom as we know it is the ability, is being able to move, think, speak, act freely without anybody pulling the strings. There is no coercion, there is no constraints. And mindset is, as we know, a set of thoughts that, dictate how we act. Put them together, you get the freedom mindset. And this is when your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions are in line with your intentional goals and purposes. And it's important to be working from that space, because then you're in tune with, where is it that I want to go? How am I feeling? And not worried about how are other people going to feel about it, but knowing that if you are okay, everybody else who is around you, who needs to be around you, is going to be okay as well, because you are looking at what you need for you. This is where I speak about prescriptions, because there are so many of us who are working from that space of prescriptions. We're doing everything the way that we were told to. Get into the relationship and you stay there and don't come out of there, because of community, because of culture, because, of being of gender, because of who's going to say that you weren't able to be successful in a relationship. You get into the good job and you go the route of what you're told, school, university, job, and you stay there because it's what's expected of you. People are saying, oh, that's my daughter, she's a whatever it is, and your job title sounds great, but inside you're being drained. There's parts of you that's shrinking, and there is that hidden cost of staying in those spaces, whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship. Funny enough, this is for a whole other video, but jobs and relationships work the same when it comes to draining the living life out of you, if you allow it, and if you're in the wrong one. Yeah, so it's not the job, it's not the relationship, but it's if you're in the wrong one. But for many of us, and I'm speaking to those of us who know that we are stuck, we don't make those moves because there is a part of us somewhere that feels as if we need that permission. It needs to be the right time. We need to have everything lined up, but that's not how it works. It's kind of like, think about going on a trip. If you know that you're going on a trip and you are getting ready to go on a trip, you don't get ready for the trip when you get to Heathrow Airport and your bags are there and you're getting on the plane. You get ready from the minute you think, I'm ready for a trip. That's when you start getting ready. That's when you start looking for flights. That's when you start thinking, where's the suitcase? Is it in the attic? Is it in the shed? Is it under the bed? What other stuff do I need? Do I need a new swimsuit? Where are we actually going? That's when ready happens. Ready isn't when for many people, they're booking these flights and doing these things, and I'm just using that as an example, but they're doing these things without even knowing that they can pay for it. And I'm not saying go do it on a credit card, but I'm just saying ready doesn't happen when everything is lined up. Ready happens when you feel ready. And this is where I say that your mind, for men, not for many of us, for all of us, our brain needs to catch up with our body, because our body tells us that we're ready usually a lot longer than our mind can catch up with. So take a moment today and ask yourself that question. What would I choose if I wasn't afraid? And come up with, don't start thinking about haven't got the money, I don't have the means. Don't start thinking about what's possible. Don't start thinking about what's realistic. Just ask yourself, what would I choose if I wasn't afraid? And see what comes up for you. And write it down, because that might just be the next chapter that's calling you. That might just be the next step that you take. We usually think that to change things, we have to tear everything down and build it up. But for us to be where we are now, it was a series of choices and a series of changes that we made without even realizing it. And it took us quite a while to get here. So don't ever think that, okay, I need to make a change in my life, I need to burn everything down and just start tomorrow. It's going to be gradual as well. And the first step is awareness. You know that there is something that you want to change for you. And then you know that you have to start looking for guidance, clarity, get support. Who is going to help you get out of this? The first thing I did when I realized, you know what, Rachel, this is enough. I was in my corporate job. I knew that I wanted the freedom to work with people anywhere in the world. And since then, I've been able to work with people on 4 different continents. Like I said, the beach is right there. So technically, I'm working right next to the beach. But when I knew that something needs to change, this is not working for me anymore, first thing I did was get a coach, because I just knew that, yeah, I could probably do it on my own, but it would take a lot longer. They say it's quicker by coach. But the first thing I did was get a coach, because you need that support. You need to be held accountable. And you also need somebody who is going to be able to help you with perspectives outside of your own. Because whether we like it or not, and whether we think we're blue sky thinkers and all that kind of stuff, when it comes to ourselves, we are limited, can be limited, and can be constrained when it comes to the possibilities for ourselves. So thank you for coming on today. And if you've made it to the end of this, if you've made it to the end of this video, I'd love to find out if you did the exercise where I asked you to write down, without thinking about it, what would you choose if you weren't afraid? If you're not afraid, put the answer down in the comments, or just send me a DM, because I'd love to hear what you've come up with when it comes to what you would choose if you were not afraid. So thank you to everybody who has joined me today. And together we're going to unpack all of this stuff. We're going to get you unstuck. We're going to identify what the next step is for you. And I'm going to help you to move from that space of hesitation and what if and should I, into taking aligned action. And we're going to do all of that without burnout and guilt. So thank you very much for coming on. Happy Wednesday. Have a beautiful rest of the day. And until the next video, see you again. Let me see how I sign out of this thing, because like I said, it's my first time using, there we go. It's my first time using Restream, and I think it went okay. Take care. Have a great